Welcome back, all our loyal listeners, to the BJJ Brick Podcast. I know it's been a little while since we've been on the show, but we're still alive and kicking. And I don't know about kicking, but we're alive and pulling guard. Let's put it that way. I'm Gary here. I got Joe and Byron, my trusty assistants. And today we're going to be kicking off episode for your viewing pleasure, listening pleasure.
All right.
I had to throw that cough in there because it's been so long we don't even know what episode we're on. So that's kind of what we're dealing with.
Yes, I'm excited. It's always fun to kind of reconnect. I just looked it up. It should be 374.
374. And you know what is kind of cool? Or sorry, Joe. Sorry for cutting all over you here. But what is cool is yesterday we got a email from one of our loyal listeners, buddies, Adrian, out there in Australia. And he said he missed the show. And it's kind of cool that we had one planned for him. So I am going to dedicate this show to our buddy in Australia, Adrian. So this is for you, buddy.
I love it. Good to hear from you, Adrian, on the online there.
I was just impressed that he called us legends, and then my wife informed me that they just use that term over there willy-nilly. So,
yeah, well, legends are individuals past a certain age, I think, and so I think that's he's saying we're old, Joe.
He was talking to you and me.
Yep. Yeah, Byron's the young sprout one here.
Oh,
Spry one, whatever.
I'll take it. I'm not feeling it, but I'm happy to. I guess the young one of the crowd, as you guys are basically twins.
Yeah, me and Joe, we look a lot alike. Whenever we're together, a lot of people think we're twins.
Yep. Oh man! All right, so much to catch up. I don't know. I see Gary. He's here in town, and Joe, I see you online on Facebook, and it looks like you're doing well.
I'm hanging in there. How about you and the family?
Doing good. I'm training as much as I can. I'm working quite a bit, and I'm training. My thing is, if I only train 2 or 3 times a week, I try to get extra rolls in at the end of practice to make it really count. And I'm trying to be more specific with my training, which we all know is a good way to train, but sometimes it's harder to actually do. Gary, how about you?
Just chilling, illing, and getting top billing. You know how that goes.
Not surprised.
Still, just training a couple days a week. Busy with family obligations. Daughter went away to college, so I'm kind of sad about that, but otherwise doing well.
All right.
Well, that's a big step in your house, Gary. Where's she going?
She's at KU. She's studying to be a physician assistant.
Good. Well, that's not too far from you.
No, just a couple hours away. So I can go up and see her. Well, if she'll take me. That's the hard part. I embarrass her.
No.
You, come on.
That's part of your job, I think, Gary.
There you go.
All right. Well, don't really have huge plans for this episode. I'm sure we'll get to chatting and getting some jiu-jitsu stuff going on. I have a kind of off-the-mat lesson, which I'll roll into just something I've been working on lately on the mats and see what you guys have to say. My wife did a marathon about a month and a half ago, the run, and she did good, had a good time. And then shortly after that, she's looking online for another race, and she finds an ultramarathon. It's a 50K, which is 31 miles. And she's thinking, I've already done all this work, like trained for 3 or 4 months to do the marathon. Why not just maintain this for another 4 or 5 weeks and then run this ultra? Which is, it's harder, but it's just different. But it's a little bit further. And so she does that. She kind of she did that actually yesterday, Gary. I was saying how
awesome.
But so she did that. She ran the 50K plus a little extra. They had this thing
Byron,
set to where you can do
stop
loops.
You.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop you real quick. Where was the Ultra at?
It was here in Wichita. It's called the 6, 12, and 24 run. You sign up to run a certain amount of hours, and you run these laps. Awesome. Yeah, it's interesting. And she had to run 15 laps to get a 50K. She actually ran 16 laps, so just because she was feeling all right, I guess, and wanted to keep on pushing. And so I'm thinking about how she just kind of she didn't have to train. She trained for it. Obviously, you have to do that, but she trained for the marathon, and she just added to it. And so a while back, I decided I want to have a better mount attack system or whatever. So I start researching, and I start trying to play mount more and develop my own mount game. And I just found that it is really hard to get mount in jiu-jitsu. My game has been geared around passing guard and getting side control and trying to attack from there and getting to the back. I didn't have a lot of great avenues to get to mount in a clean way against a competitive role. Like, yeah, I could pick on, people who aren't as competitive as me, but mount is such a miserable position. I'm not looking to play the style of mount that I'm wanting to learn on lower belts. It's just a tough spot to put somebody in for several minutes. I don't want to be like a bully, if that makes sense. So when I get brown belts and purple belts and black belts, I try to get mount, and it's tough. It is tough to do. And so I was disappointed in my amount of training I can get each day, getting off the mats. Like, well, I had a couple minutes of mount on this person and didn't get mount on them. And ensure that I could ask and they would let me, but I want to try to work the whole system. Eventually, I started working a different guard pass that helps me get to mount in a more effective way. And it kind of clicked in well with my game, and then it clicked in well with the mount stuff I was working on. So I get way more practice with my mount attacks, and this guard pass has been really nice for me as well. So it was just kind of nice. It's funny, like, I know all this stuff. I have to have a funnel to get my game where I want it. And I had these mount attacks set up, and I like them, but I had no funnel to get there in a reliable way. And so I finally had to rewind a little bit, put the mount stuff aside, and work on guard passing that leads to a mount. And it's been very helpful. And that kind of reminded me of her marathon run that helped lead her to an ultra back-to-back, like doing that within a short amount of time. That's kind of my off-the-mat lesson that I've been thinking about and helping myself get a little bit better at jiu-jitsu, I hope.
It sounds like you're talking about, I've heard this term like habit stacking or hack stacking, or, where you implement one new habit into your life, and then rather than chase a completely new one, you look at one that's similar and just put it on top or put it next to it. Sounds kind of like that's what you're getting at, Byron.
I like that. Where'd you hear that from?
I think just various like entrepreneurial, man, that's a hard word. YouTube videos.
Cool.
When you first said that Becky ran a marathon, and then she was like, here's one that's another 5 miles. Let's go ahead and take that on in a few weeks. My interest was immediately piqued to see how it turned out, because I thought you were maybe going to go into training intensity and that type of thing. And, man, when you said she just ran a marathon and she was just going to go do this next one right away, I thought, boy, this could go either direction. This could be a case of overtraining and a nightmare, or it sounds like it worked out perfectly. But and I'm glad to hear that. I guess what I was thinking is you got to know yourself. Not everybody can run a marathon and then just add another 5 miles on in a couple of months.
So
Byron.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I remember way back in the day when you and Becky were training, and I think you ran a marathon. I don't know if Becky ran it with you, but I remember you would do your long run. I forgot what day it was, but I just remember your back was always hurting. You were just telling me about how brutal it was, just that training for it. And then, like Joe said, it could lead to overtraining, but she just like, hey, I'm already in this shape. Instead of, picking a 50K down the road, I only got 5 more weeks to go. Let's just keep it right here and go tackle that mountain.
Yeah, and I look at when I ran mine, I don't know what year it was. It was probably more than 10 years ago. I wanted, my little training routine was to run a certain amount of miles per week. And if I wanted to run short days, but a whole lot of them, or a couple of long days and have some days off, that's how it was done. And she's gotten real into studying different training methods. And she has a calendar that says, today you're running 8 miles. Tomorrow you're running 6 miles, but faster. And then you're going to, she'll run. She doesn't have a super far run. She'll have a far Friday, like for this ultra, it's 31 miles. She had a Friday where she ran 10 miles and a Saturday where she ran 20. So that's kind of back to back, but there's rest in between. And the whole thing is like, get you to that starting line healthy. And it's been great for her. She's really gotten into learning about the science behind running. And could you believe it or not, there's running podcasts out there where they talk about what to eat and how to run and fueling and tapering, back and forth for like how much intensity, getting into it. Like, yeah, it's pretty neat. But you kind of click into something and it works for you. And she's really adapted to it well. And the same thing with jiu-jitsu is we get better at learning about how to learn jiu-jitsu, how to teach jiu-jitsu, how to train and pick it up better, to where I could look at a room that's got 20 blue belts and I could just think they're all better than I was when I was a blue belt. They're all more technical, they're more savvy, they have more better skills than I did. And I thought I was a darn good blue belt. I had some major holes in my game. But things are getting, looking at running and jiu-jitsu, it's getting easier to learn what you want to know. And if you want to learn how to do jiu-jitsu, relying on your coach is great. Doing some off-the-mat training is really good as well. And studying, instructionals or competition video, whatever it is that works for you, experiment and find out what you pick up on the best. So yeah, she did great. Super proud of her, and it was definitely hard. It kind of also reminded me of, if I miss a week of jiu-jitsu, I'm all excited to get back in there, and I'm all thinking about how it's going to be and this and that, and then sure enough, within a round or two, I'm like, oh yeah, kind of sucks. Like I'm getting smashed right. I can't move my head. Like, oh, I forgot that it was it's uncomfortable. But like the drive there, I'm always excited. And same thing with her. Like about 20 miles in, she's like, "Oh, this kind of sucks." It was super cold. It was a trail run. It was different than what she was used to, and it's just like, man, you have to do it. Like get your body to do this thing that you told it you want to do. But after a while, the grind of it kind of adds up to you.
Byron, you said it was a trail run. What trail was it on?
It was technically it's a trail because it's not on the road or a sidewalk. It's done.
Okay.
They make a loop in a field, basically.
Okay. Kind of like a cross country meet.
Yeah. Not a named trail that you would know.
Yeah. Okay. Byron's secret trail. I know that trail.
Don't go down that road.
You go down that road, you get guillotined.
Oh, maybe. So. Well, Joe, how things been on your end? Tell us a little bit what's going on.
Living the dream, man. We had first 2 cool days down here this year. It's been in the 50s the last 2 days, which is nice. Still working 14 and 14. Been going down to Trinidad pretty regular for work, so kind of enjoy the international travel. And as far as my jiu-jitsu game goes, I'm repping with my grandson at home and just kind of being a jiu-jitsu grandpa still.
I saw Sebastian got a stripe here recently.
He's got 2 now, so he's
awesome.
Yeah.
Is he
going to be the next superstar?
What does he enjoy about it, you think?
The social interaction. I mean, he just loves being around other kids, and he hits the mats and he starts running, and he doesn't stop moving until he gets off. I learned something as far as assessing your kids' progression in jiu-jitsu. With Sebastian, when he started, so in our school, they just line up one row of kids, and it's, 12, 15 kids, and they don't line them up by rank or anything. They just line them up, so you might end up in the middle or towards the end. And when we started him this was January 22, he'd be like the third from the end, and he'd just step out of line, run around the three kids to his left, run behind the kids, and he'd just start running laps around the group. about the second or third lap, Randall or Barrett would be like, Sebastian, get back in line. And a few months later, he sort of would just step out and run around the three kids at the end and come back to his spot. And then a few months after that, he just runs circles around the kids next to him. And now he's only running circles in place. So it's been interesting to watch him gain self-awareness and a little bit of self-control. I think that's probably, I've learned that's probably more important and valuable than whether or not they're still getting ragdolled, which coincidentally he is. But
the main thing is, like you said, he has fun. He loves the social interaction. And, I'm always a big proponent of doing jiu-jitsu for fun, for the social interaction, for the exercise benefits. And basically he won, but with all his running, I think you might need to get him with Becky and start preparing for a marathon.
I was going to say he could be next step is he'll run around the other kids as guard.
Hopefully he'll get there, yes.
Well, that's cool. So, Gary, what have you done differently in your jiu-jitsu lately?
As you guys know, wrestling is what I really love. I've become a jiu-jitsu wrestler, and I'm not very good at it, but, for the longest time, by 4 or 5 years, I was doing nothing but wrestling. And now I'm still wrestling, but I have really worked on my top pressure. I've always never been a guy who likes to smash people. But it's kind of neat. Like, me and my training partners have all been working that. We get to take down, and then we just try to tap each other out with pressure. And I've got to the point my ribs never heal because they're always smashed. And that's how I know we're all doing it good. So I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying working something new, and really just trying to flatten somebody out, I guess.
Does your wrestling help lead you to that top pressure type situations?
Not really. I guess it could, but I'm more of I'll get caught in half guard on my takedown or whatever, and just trying to get better at passing. And I guess I really like to try to just trying to pin people, and then after like 2 minutes, I feel bad and I let them up, and then we work from there.
So Gary, anything specifically you can point to that you're doing to generate more pressure right now?
Well, first of all, I'm looking at caging the hips. I notice caging the hips is important. Secondly, because frames are coming in there, I have to move quick to different positions. So it's kind of a big game. It's almost kind of like learning something all over again, because Byron will tell you, I was never a big pressure guy. I always liked to be loose so the person could move and I could catch a limb. And I don't know, it's almost like I'm learning a new game. But I'm trying to really, Joe, get my toes into it, pushing into when I got a good pressure. Yeah. Just really try and do, angles and, just bring the pressure. I picked up a little cool tip from Josh Hinger that I saw online that is can be really brutal when you do it to somebody. I've been rolling with a guy I haven't rolled with in a while. Give a shout out to Austin Burns here. But he's a little guy, but his pressure is very, very unique, very, very brutal. And I've realized that I don't do as good a job as he does with my shoulder pressure. And, that's one area now I realize I got to work on a little bit better. So I'm just delving into that a little bit.
That's cool. And it's a good training partner there. You said you were getting some enough pressure to occasionally maybe tap somebody or put them close. And I agree. Your typical game that I think of from the past is not no pressure, but you're always like halfway to a submission. Like,
yeah.
So like, I can care less about what kind of pressure you have if I'm worried my arm's going to get torn away from my core or whatever. Like, so it was a different game, and now you're more maybe solidified in positions and a little less aggressive on top.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to be aggressive on top. I'm me, I always want a submission, but it's just fun. It's something I've never. It's almost like I'm learning something new. I'm really learning, how to move in that position, how to really lock down, that upper body. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's bringing a lot of joy to me.
Gary, tell me if maybe this is where you're going. The best pressure guys that I've rolled with, it's not just the pressure in a general sense, but it feels like the more they pressure, the longer it takes. You're talking about that funnel. It gets down to where, like, I only have one desperate move I can make to try and escape. You were talking about when you played loose, just looking for a limb to grab. It's almost like the good pressure guys know if I put this pressure on in this direction long enough, this arm's going to pop out.
Correct. You're right there, Joe. It's just a different game for me. So it's like when I first started leg locks, I was getting bored in jiu-jitsu, and I always was told leg locks were bad many years ago. And I started leg locks, and it felt like I was doing a whole new art, and it was fun again. And then, I started getting a little bored again, and then I was like devoted all my time to wrestling, and it was so much fun, something different. And then, now I'm doing something else, and it's different from what I'm doing. And, it's kind of what's unique about jiu-jitsu is I've got so many different avenues. When I start getting a little bored of doing this or that, I can just, like Byron, you were talking earlier, working on your mount, I can just pick something different. And I like to kind of deep dive into it, even though, to be honest, I'm not watching anything about mount. I'm just going by feel, just the stuff I learned way back in the day, beginner stuff, and really just, and not necessarily mount. It's just most of the time I'm side mount, but it's just learned by feel.
All right, so here's this, Gary. If you tap me out from pressure, what position and how's it look?
Oh, it's going to be side control, and it's going to be that little trick that Josh Hinger taught that I saw online.
Okay. Making a note of that. Try to avoid. Yeah. Oh, man.
You got the traditional underhook and shoulder pressure when you're doing that, Gary?
No underhook. I'm reaching around into the armpit, shoulder pressure, lifting them up, putting the other hand underneath their waist and pulling them that way. And it puts a lot of pressure on the rib cage.
All right, more notes being taken by me.
That was actually live, Byron.
Damn it. That's how you know he's good at jiu-jitsu, because he's beating me before it starts. I'm doing the wrong things to begin with. Dang.
Yeah. And, the other thing I've been doing, here I am talking about pressure. I've kind of actually went back to just rolling at 70, 80%, still going at it. Like, I got to the point where I was rolling 100% every round for many years, and I was getting beat up a little bit, and I've slowed that down a little bit until I get on top and want to work my pressure for a minute or two. But just trying to prolong my career.
Well, there you go. That's a good. Ain't nothing wrong with taking it a little slower or more methodical. And Gary's helped me out the other day doing a little bit of attempted wrestling with Gary, and he gave me some good pointers on my single leg, and it was different than I had been attempting, or had been shown before. He made it more easier, I guess. And that was a good tip I got from you, Gary, and I've been working on it ever since.
Oh, awesome.
About kind of pushing him a little bit, get that leg to be lighter, not having to change
that
quite
way that
as
leg's
far
not heavy.
down.
It's easier to Yeah. And, like I've tried to build the old person's jiu-jitsu game, where I don't have to change levels a lot. I don't have to really go deep. And, it's just, I like a lot of stuff off the Russian tie. I like to grab the single leg off of there. But it's a little harder for me to change levels as I get older.
Gary's never been one to go real deep.
I've heard that numerous times.
That is, in fact, what she said.
I've heard it numerous times.
Oh, man. Okay. A different topic altogether. Competition jiu-jitsu and just kind of being a fan of jiu-jitsu. I watched quite a bit of ADCC. Last time I went there, and it was really fun, and I got to be kind of Matt's side and take some pictures and talk to some of our listeners, and it was a lot of fun. This time, did not go, but watched it. And I was telling my wife, I don't want to go if I can't take pictures. Like, I've been spoiled my first time. But it was a lot of really fun matches to watch, the ADCC this year. But I remember one time, and I mostly watched it by myself. My wife would come in every now and then and sit down for a match or part of it, whatever. And I saw, I think it was Craig Jones and somebody else, and their legs were entangled and they were rolling up on their shoulders or over and over. It was just like, I looked at her like, I don't even do jiu-jitsu. If this is jiu-jitsu, I don't do that. I can't do I don't know what they just did. I don't know what they're trying to do. None of that made sense to me. I've been training for like half my life, and I can't understand this exchange that just happened. It's like, I was just impressed with what was happening and how much more I have to try to figure out, I guess, or how deep it goes, even for guys like Gary. You guys been watching anything, combat jiu-jitsu or ADCC or any TikToks, Gary?
What I really enjoy watching is Brandon McCaughren's BMAX PGF, Professional Grapplers Federation. He just had a new season out. Season 4 just came out, and I've watched all the seasons. I really enjoy it. I like the commentary. I like the guys. But I don't watch a lot. And you're talking about, Byron, jiu-jitsu competition, jiu-jitsu versus regular jiu-jitsu, and there is a difference. Those people who compete a lot and win, they're such at a different level. But I don't. It used to bother me that I didn't think I could get to that level, and I know I'll never get to that level or anything. But I don't care anymore. I guess I haven't cared in a long time. I just like rolling, to what I can do to the best of my ability. And I know I can't hold a candle to Craig Jones. I can't hold a candle to you. I can't hold a candle to Joe. But I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do the best I can and have the most fun I can. And, but it's crazy when you roll with somebody who is at not necessarily even that level. There's so many different levels. We'll just take a high level Wichita competitor, and you're just like, man, there's so many levels to this sport, and that person has so many levels to catch up to a Craig Jones type person. And I think if I was chasing that so much, and people are going to be professional grapplers, you need to chase that. But I think if I was chasing that so much, I would have quit a long time ago because I would have been so down on myself.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth to it, but I think I'm with you, Gary. I do enjoy aspects of my game, and like you showed me that single leg, and I didn't pull it off the other day, but I got a good start on it. I got the leg off the ground, and I got to working. I was like, man, that was sweet. I added a technique.
Wait. So I didn't know you got there that early to go to the kids' class, Byron.
You got to, Gary. That's otherwise these techniques don't work. It's all garbage.
Man, you know what I've always found amazing about the really high level guys, and I've not rolled with the high level guys, but like you're talking about the high level competitors in a local area, is how easily they can dial it back and actually kind of trick you if you're not paying attention. I rolled with people and thought, oh, that was a pretty good roll. And then the next roll, I watch him destroy somebody that I know is twice as good as me. All right.
Yeah, that's just, that's what's so cool about jiu-jitsu. If you guys know my background, I'm a basketball player. I go down the park and play basketball. The D1 college athlete's going to destroy me. I can go into any gym here, and unless you're kind of a jerk, most of the times they will lower it down to your level, to make a fun roll for them too. It's not fun just destroying me over and over again. But it is neat, like you said, the skill level where they can make it competitive. And I remember back in early in my career when people were doing it to me all the time, and I'd be like, man, I'm pretty good. I was like, I didn't realize I was that good. And then I would look over the next round, and he's absolutely destroying somebody who destroys me. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's a good guy. I appreciate him, what he did to me. He's being nice to me. But, the sport, you can walk into, a gym and train with anybody, and, a very welcoming community.
Yeah. And you talk about that. It's a good example, Gary. Like, I don't know, you're playing basketball with somebody and they make it competitive, and then they're clearly better than that, but maybe they're not really necessarily holding back. Maybe they're a person who likes to go up there and get layups, and now they're hanging back, shooting 3-pointers and throwing up bricks, like the podcast. Like, maybe they just change their game and work outside of their good parts of their game and work on some stuff that needs some polish, and to where that it's competitive. And then when they want to dial it back in, they bring it right back into their wheelhouse, and they're doing their more trusted techniques, or techniques that they're better. Same thing in jiu-jitsu. I might want to work on something that I'm not as good at with somebody who's less technical. Maybe I work on escapes for a little while and put myself in some danger. I get rolling with a couple of different black belts or brown belts. I don't put myself in danger on purpose. It happens, but I don't just say, hey, let's see how his armbar looks. Okay, it looks great. Dang it. But it is the ability, like one of my goals when I train is, generally speaking, is to have a back and forth roll, have an exchange. So that doesn't mean that I get to have mount for 3 out of the 5 minutes. Now, I would like that. That would be, if I was competing or training the best I can, that would be how I would like it to be. Like, dominant position, stay there for a while, and don't leave until the person taps. That's super difficult to have that for me to do that, but I could do that on lower belts, but then I'm a jerk. So that doesn't happen there either. Like I was saying earlier, I want to have some back and forth. I want you to do jiu-jitsu, and I want myself to do jiu-jitsu. And I know there are plenty of people who could make me not do jiu-jitsu. And it doesn't take the top-tier elite grapplers to do that. They can just shut me down before I ever start doing jiu-jitsu. But most of the time, people want to play and engage and just experience jiu-jitsu.
But you're still doing jiu-jitsu.
Well, not when you totally get shut down.
You're trying to create a little bit of space. You're trying to create frames. It's just not as fun part of jiu-jitsu for most people. Some people probably really like that. Like
when I train with Andre Montero, like he will typically let me do a couple of attacks, and then it typically ends up with after a while I'm stuck in a spot and I can't hardly move or breathe. That's just the way he will see what I'm working on, and then like to be able to walk in, what's your best thing, Byron, and then just shut it down. Oh, that was cool. Good try, Byron. Boom. And now this is happening to you. I enjoy that because he could have done he could have just shut my game down from the beginning. And like, well, I know my technique doesn't work on Andre because I can't even start the darn thing. But if he lets me kind of kick into it and attempt some things, it's I don't know, it's a more enjoyable way to train.
Yeah. But I also like being shut down. I like to. Then it just gives me something to work on. I like being exposed. I like somebody showing me what I thought I might have been okay at, but there's holes, something, that I need to go back and work on a little bit. And I guess that is one thing that keeps me going.
Did we lose Gary?
It sounds like it.
We lost the Gary.
Oh,
there's holes in his game over there. He'll kick back in. It shows he's still
Things
on
are
here.
going
Gary, we
so
can't hear
good.
you. He was just going to say that he really likes it when he gets beat up on.
That's what it sounded like.
Can you hear me?
He's back, my
Hey,
man.
Gary.
Oh, now you forgot. No, I like it when people show me holes in my game. It gives me something to work on. And, I'm always trying to be better. I know I'm better today than I was, a year ago, than I was 2 years ago. And I just like trying to improve. And sometimes getting shut down shows me a glaring weakness that I have. And, I'll probably still get shut down for the next 5 years trying it, but maybe I get a little bit better each time.
Yeah, we've all had those rolls. It feels like you got ran over by a truck. It's like that was a minute and a half of me getting my butt kicked, and then I tapped, and I'm exhausted. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like if that happens to me, I don't feel like I did jiu-jitsu. I feel like I just got beat up, and sure I was trying, but to get an exchange of jiu-jitsu is kind of what I enjoy about jiu-jitsu, which involves you doing an attack and then me countering and also then attacking or whatever. Like a little back and forth is good, and it can be done at I'm a black belt. I do that with white belts all the time. Blue, purple, brown, black, whatever. Like just have some exchange. It doesn't need to be balanced. It doesn't need to be half 50-50. But
what about 51-49?
That's okay.
Are you okay with that?
It does need to be that, yes. With me being the 51.
Yeah, you got to take the 51. Whoever's been training long.
So just give me. I don't know what's really happening. Like my finger isn't on the pulse of jiu-jitsu like it used to be when we were podcasting every week. But has combat jiu-jitsu become more popular, or is it about the same? Have you guys noticed anything with that?
What do you think, Joe?
I have not. I get my jiu-jitsu in very short bursts, on like YouTube Shorts and my Facebook feed. I haven't really consumed too much serious content. So I know that it's still out there, but I don't know if it's growing. I always was intrigued, but I don't know.
I don't see a lot out there. I did when it first started. Eddie Bravo putting on the shows, but I haven't seen anything about combat jiu-jitsu in a while. But it's also something I don't follow. I can't say I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
I've been. Sorry, Gary, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what I've really kind of liked watching is bare knuckle fighting championship. I've kind of enjoyed watching that a little bit.
I've caught a little bit of that too. I've also caught a few. Is it PFL, Professional Fighting League? It's sort of sort of a karate thing, isn't it?
I've seen that one where they're out. They got with the wall, not walls, but the mat's kind of curved at the end. Yep. Yeah, kind of strange, but I've caught a couple of those on, Facebook.
It is kind of strange. It's not really my cup of tea, but they allow a minute of ground fighting, a brief minute. Like if you knock your opponent down, you can maintain top position and strike for a few seconds. I almost like that more than combat jiu-jitsu as far as having a little grappling mixed in with something else. MMA is just so prevalent. If I want to watch people hit each other and do jiu-jitsu, I watch MMA.
Yeah. So
just me.
So Gary, you mentioned the jiu-jitsu thing you watch. What was it again, and where do you watch it at? Like
it's on YouTube.
10 minutes ago. Okay.
It's on YouTube. Brandon McCawthron, BMAC. He's a 10th planet black belt. But he runs a little league down there. I don't know if it's little. It's kind of cool because I see a lot of the up and coming grapplers in the Southeast. And then, like Hunter Colvin, then I see him in the ADCCs. I got to watch Elijah, the bad boy Carlton, never knew who he was till the first season. And that guy's so fun to watch. And, Quadzilla, all these guys, I've kind of got to know them. And, it's a commentary, his wife is on the microphone. They're just fun guys to watch. I've got to know like the ironclad wrestlers and just, it's really fun. If anybody hasn't checked it out, go to YouTube and Google Brandon McCawthron, and it's PGF, I think it's called, Professional Fighters League. But it's really fun. They bring in fighters from around mostly the Southeast, and they'll be there for like 4 or 5 days. And he shows everything, it goes for like 5 hours each episode, and you'll fight 4 or 5 times, and there's points, there's teams. I kind of like it. He gives more points for what they call a kill shot, which is a choke, because in real world that would have killed somebody. And then if you tap somebody out within the first minute, you get another point. Just unique rule set, and and it's 6-minute matches. It's just fun to watch. I really enjoy it.
That's interesting. I'll look into that, Gary. And thanks for letting everybody know, man. Spreading the word on what you like.
Yeah, I just looking it up right now. It's under Brandon McCawthron's webpage. So I think most of you guys probably know who Brandon McCawthron is. If you just Google Brandon McCawthron PGF, and you'll find it.
Yeah, see, the season 4 finale is 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. And that's actually the short one.
It's edited
Most
down.
of them are like 5. Yeah, but it's fun. I enjoy it.
Well, I briefly mentioned combat jiu-jitsu. I don't like it. And I can't. I like some of the matches. They're fun or they're interesting or whatever. But like, I think what it boils down to is people laugh at it. Like
I don't know about
it's funny.
that.
No, like show it to somebody who doesn't know. Like show it to somebody casually, and when somebody gets slapped in the face, they think it's funny.
Well, I think
like,
a lot of casual people also laugh at jiu-jitsu. Somebody pulling guard, somebody butt scooping.
That's not really that funny.
I think people laugh at it.
Yeah, maybe.
Kind of think it doesn't work. And just like I think some people probably think that open hand slaps don't work. But, like I can tell you, I personally myself don't like combat jiu-jitsu. I don't like watching it. I don't really, like it, but I know a lot of people do. But I also realize that you got to change your game around, for regular, jiu-jitsu to be a good combat person. You got to really, realize in some positions you could take a beating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always agreed with that, Gary. I think if you say you're doing jiu-jitsu for self-defense, you got to roll with some sort of strikes involved at least sometimes. Otherwise, you're going to get in a fight, get a bloody nose, and be like, holy heck.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked, when Byron and I first started, jiu-jitsu wasn't really around very often. And, like it is today, we had a purple belt teacher, and he was really big into self-defense, and he was really big into Israeli martial arts. So, we started out a lot of that stuff, which I thought I wanted to do MMA back in the day till I got hit once and realized it wasn't for me. But I'm glad I started that way. Some people are really stressed. We've had on here a couple times Roy Marsh. He's really big into the self-defense aspect and, pressure and, tying stuff up. I really enjoy going back and listening to his episodes.
Hey, just to back up on something else for our listeners, I'm on this site that you recommended, Gary. And if anybody out there is thinking, I don't need another site just to watch matches on, it's not that at all. This guy's got tons of videos.
Oh, yes.
Like technique videos and interviews. And I'm definitely saving this to my subscriptions.
Yeah. And, I can tell you, I've actually, even besides his free ones, I've bought 4 or 5 different videos from BMAC, and they're incredible. So, even his paid stuff, he has a website that you can pay a certain amount per month and get all of his classes. Anybody out there in that Decatur, Alabama area, boy, you got an incredible school to go to.
Cool. Well, glad you found that as well, Joe, and I've got it saved on my phone. And who knows how many listeners.
Yeah, seriously, if you're going to watch it and you haven't, go back to season 1 and start in season 1 and just watch how he evolves the show all the time.
I don't know at all. Does season 1 happen in one day, or is it like a couple of weeks? Or
season 1 happens in a couple of weeks.
Okay,
you would show up every weekend.
So he edits it down to just this is season 1. It's the footage from a bit of recording. I think we lost Gary again.
Byron, I was assuming they were episodes or seasons with multiple episodes.
Oh.
That's what I was assuming.
Well, that one was 3 hours long.
Yeah, that was the final.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah, but it started out where you'd meet every week, and you would have an episode every week, like on season 1, and season 2 was like that. Season 3 and season 4, it's too hard to show up every week for like 12 weeks. So then you would go down there for like 4 days, and every day it would be like 4 episodes. Day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4 would be the final, and just get it done within 4 days. But boy, you have 3 or 4 fights every day, and it's just it's a neat format.
Nice. Well, guys, this has been fun. Catching up a little bit. It's been a while since we've had an episode, but I'm definitely not opposed to getting back together and doing one here or there.
It's fun to get back. It's fun to get back together every now and then, to catch up. And I hadn't really seen you at all, Byron, until a couple of weeks ago. So, even though I don't see Joe, it's kind of almost like I hadn't seen you in a while.
I've been hiding.
Good to see you.
Gary, you're working on your pressure game. I don't want to get involved with that.
Oh. You know me, when we've rolled, we just like exactly what you said, back and forth.
Back and forth.
One of us will get top position, try to grab something, and then we just fall to our back. It's like, let the other guy take his turn.
Yeah, there's nobody.
That's what I like about it. There's no, me and Byron, we beat each other up so many years. There's no ego. There's no anything. And, I do want to say this. This was kind of cool. I hadn't seen Byron in probably 6 months. I'm just going to say, probably not that long, but hadn't rolled with him in a long time. And we're rolling, and we're going at it. And Byron backsteps and puts me in the 411. I was so proud. That was awesome.
Old dog, new
Byron
tricks.
is evolving. He is evolving. He actually walks on 2 legs now.
I'm trying to learn new things, Gary. And you're a guy who I consider, top-notch leg game for anybody I train with. You seem to be, well above what I'm used to, and you're super safe. Like, I don't know if Gary would actually. He probably would. I don't know if Gary would actually do damage if you like. You're happy to get it and sit and like, okay, you're done. Okay, I'll tap. Like, so I feel super safe training with you, and you know exactly what you're doing, and you often will start. You'll throw something down to me, and you'll start coaching me because I like. My leg lock game is do an attack or do an escape, and yours is attack and then subsequent attack and then follow up with this. And so after you've done a couple of different combinations, I am well into being confused. And so that's when you typically start talking to me like, okay, Byron, clear this leg off of your hip, turn this way, but not that far. And like you start coaching me, which is really nice because, like I said, I don't know what to do. So it's been
I'm
it's nice.
coaching you.
Hey, Byron. I think you're a little confused about what's going on, and you're underestimating how good you're doing, because we all know that your training partner doesn't start coaching you until you're about to do something spectacular.
Yes,
damn it.
I've been trying to say that, Byron. That's exactly why I'm coaching you. Because you actually are in deep, and I'm about to tap. So I want to save face.
The oldest trick in the book has been working on me. Oh, I love it. Good eye, Joe. I didn't even see that one in front of me. Every time he's like, "Okay, Byron, yeah, I'm ready to tap." No. It gets worse. Oh, classic. All right. Well, now that I know that, I'll act a little differently on the mats, and I'll start
Start bringing the heat.
eye pokes, and that sort of thing.
I've watched the Three Stooges. I know how to defend against high pokes.
Oh man.
Just as long as his fingers are shorter than your hand is wide.
I knew Joe would know what I was talking about just because we're the same age.
Oh.
We grew up watching the Three Stooges.
Why I oughta. Well, that's kind of us.
Yes.
So anyway, I don't know if I'm. Who's Shemp? I don't want to be
Shep
Shemp.
was the
That's the worst
Shep
one.
was one of the villains.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a villain.
Larry, Curly, and Moe.
You know, you are, to be honest, with your hair, you're going to have to be curly.
Dang.
Or, I mean,
You're right. Well, I've started shaving my head.
yeah.
I gave up.
Yeah,
I gave
that's
up
what
on my hair. I gave up on me.
Yeah,
Nice.
so Byron comes in the other day with stubble on his head, and we're working stand-up, and I got his head pushing up against my cheek, looking for a single leg, and I was like, man, get that sandpaper off of me.
You make it sound
That's
so
a good
romantic.
tactic, Byron. Yeah, I like it.
My stubble pushed up against your cheek. Oh, your face. I see.
Yeah. But I think it made me look a little bit better.
Well, good.
Tougher.
Yeah, which is pretty hard to do.
All right, you guys, I had a good time. As always, stay sweaty, my friends.
And don't forget to shower.
Train hard, train smart, and get better at whatever you're doing these days, guys.
And drink a solo. This is dedicated to Adrian. Solo time.
That's right.
There you go.